So this is a really big win for Minnesota if they can pull this one off here. Thorn obviously is the favorite, but Oster's very tricky. Just appeared in the rankings by Flow Wrestling, number 20 this week. Had a good match against Michigan State, fighting some injuries. But Minnesota's guy is, this is their captain on the lower weight, so they're going to be looking for Thorn to get them on the board here tonight.
Thorn, redshirt freshman from St. Michael, Minnesota. He is the youngest of a wrestling lineage. His older brothers, Mike and Dave, both All-Americans under Jay Robinson at the U. So obviously quite a wrestling pedigree for Tommy Thorn. He's done well this year. 5-1 in the Big Ten. His lone loss coming at the duel against Nebraska, 10-6 decision, losing to Anthony Abidin.
Noticeable win for Tommy Thorn was against Anthony Ashnault of Rutgers, All-American last year. And, he really seemed to take it to Ashnault that match, winning 8-1. And, that this weight class in the Big Ten is also very good. You notice that Tommy Thorn lost to Abidin and then beat Ashnault, but then Ashnault beat Abidin.
No sound on Big Ten to go.
Yeah. So it really all depends, what you're doing that day, how you show up, and how you react to it.
Oster's won 4 straight. Of course, he was out for just over a month with an injury. Came back to defeat Javier Gasca of Michigan State last weekend for his first win since the Midlands. Right now, Thorn up with an early takedown, and he's getting the riding time on the back of Oster. Thorn with the hold on Oster, trying to get out of the mat. He can't do it.
Thorn's riding tough here. Oster, really looks like he's struggling to get up. And as a coach, you really want to encourage your wrestler. Tricky situation for Oster. He gets a fresh start, so maybe that'll allow him to, do what he wants on this brand new whistle start here.
Thorn ranks 7th. He's lost 7 times this season, but 5 of them have been to top 15 opponents. So, he's obviously, outside of that loss at Nebraska, he's really done what he has had to do against what you would say lower opponents in the rankings.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we also have to notice is he's a redshirt freshman. He's getting better. He's, as a redshirt freshman, you're wrestling the number 1 guy in the country multiple times, the number 2 guy, number 3 guy, number 4 guy. And this is all before your conferences and your NCAA championships. Once you get to those opportunities, you're gonna be there. You're gonna wrestle the best of the best. You know what to expect. There's not gonna be anything new. And for Tommy Thorn, redshirt freshman, to be getting, the wins he's getting and the exposure he's getting, it's only gonna improve him once the Big Ten season comes along with the NCAA championships this year in Madison Square Garden.
Oster working hard to keep Thorn from getting him to his back. Here we go again. 10 seconds remaining in the period, and he does get the 4-point near fall. So it'll be a 6-0 advantage. Almost 2 minutes of riding time accumulated by Thorn in a very efficient first period. Thorn, he's one of those type of wrestlers, wide open, likes to score. And I think, as you said, he's learning to not make mistakes in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said earlier, redshirt freshman, even though he's getting all this exposure and all these wins and, all these opportunities, he's going to be making less and less mistakes as he gets the opportunities that he's presented to. So Thorn's looking to be in the driver's seat here, 6-0, starting the second period. Oster's on top now. For Northwestern, you obviously want to win the duel, but for team purposes, versus number 7 guy in the country, maybe he'll be able to put some points on the board, and you want to be conservative a little bit when giving that up.
Thorn fighting out of the hold of Oster. See him working his right hand. Oster back to the top.
Thorn's doing a really good job. Oster's trying to lock up that cradle multiple times now, and every time he gets it, he hips up, and Thorn does a great job not putting himself in situations where he can get pinned. That's part of the learning process once you get to college. Guys are older. Jameson Oster is a senior this year, so he's been through all of the different tricks and battles and everything. Tries to use one on Tommy Thorn here, and it doesn't work. And no, it's 7-0. A little inside a minute to go in the second period.
Nice job that time by Oster staving off the escape for a while. He
Yeah.
gets it back below the minute threshold for the riding time. And that could come into play as we approach major decision territory here late in the second.
Oster's usually very good in this situation. You see him fight out there, and that's what I was talking about earlier when we see the scramble. Oster hasn't really got the opportunity to, get in on any legs, but he likes to react when someone gets in on his legs, and that's what we saw there, and it almost resulted in the Jamison Oster takedown for the Wildcats.
Under 20 seconds to go. Thorn looking for the single leg. And he's close to finishing it, but Oster squirms out of it again. So after 2 periods of play at 140, wrestling I should say, at 141, it's a 7-0 lead for the 7th ranked wrestler Tommy Thorn of Minnesota. Northwestern. Oster will choose down. This is where, as you said, Johnny, likely not going to get the victory, but it could be a lot to get a couple points on the board and hold off, and earn a 3-point loss rather than fall to even a tech fall, which is still obviously in play here in the last period.
Well, as of right now, Tommy Thorn does have the major decision with the riding time. So Oster's going to have to get out and fend off any takedowns that Thorn tries to get after him to defend his, major decision. Looks like there might be blood time or
blood. It's on the right thigh of Thorn. I think it's coming from, was coming from the hand of Oster. Of course, the two coaches couldn't be more opposed to each other in terms of experience. Jay Robinson in his 30th season at the helm up in Minneapolis. He's got a career record of 437, 144, and 4 ties. And then, of course, Matt Storniolo, first year, the Oklahoma grad in 2007. He's the interim head coach, but done a nice job taking over in kind of a bind, as it turned out to be. Was thrown into the interim role right before the season started. So obviously teams endured some injuries, Johnny, you being one of them, but I think they're definitely wrestling better than they were earlier in the season.
Yeah, it's been a lot of bumps in the road with injuries and, coaching changes and whatnot. And, interim Matt Storniolo is doing a great job doing the best is what he got. He's really reacting to whatever he's got, and, he's really doing a great job. On the other hand, he's going up against Jay Robinson, legendary coach in Minnesota, and basically in all of wrestling. Assistant coach at Iowa back in the day and coming to Minnesota. In 2001, he had a legendary season, record-breaking, 10 All-Americans, 10 weight classes, 10 All-Americans. Never really been done before, so that's got to say something to what Jay Robinson brings to the table in Minnesota.
Yeah, they've really built the program up. The last couple seasons, relatively disappointing finishes by their standard. 8th in the NCAA championship last year, 3rd in the Big Ten. This season, obviously, a little bit more of a youth movement. Only one senior that's been wrestling in a dual meet the entire season. So Gophers are definitely young this year, but as we talked off there, they have a good recruiting class coming in and some guys that have put in the time and are really improving here in their freshman and sophomore years.
Now this is going to be that takedown that just happened inside, a minute for Thorn, puts him up 9-1. Riding time, it's 10-1. Riding time's pretty much locked in now, so it's going to be a major decision, it looks like, for Minnesota, unless the Wildcats can get a quick reversal. Oster does get the reversal, but he's gonna have to turn him.
That could stave off the major decision, though, here.
Yes.
Every point being critical, and especially in these lower weights when Northwestern wanted to get an advantage, especially through Sertzis' match at 149. So it'll end up being just a 3-point decision in favor of Tommy Thorn. He moves to 27-7 overall, 6-1 in the Big Ten. Oster